hello, we are making a video and we are waiting for Paul to take us to the other house. And the alien spaceship one people, they are waiting for Elon Musk to take them to Mars. Yes, we are waiting and waiting. So, and the reason why it takes so much longer with the Mars mission is because of the mafia. The mafia is preventing the Mars mission. The mafia is sabotaging Elon Musk non-stop. And that's the truth. And why are they doing this? Because they cannot see the big picture. They cannot see farther than their own football stadium horizon. Okay? They can't see past their ego and indoctrination limits. Okay, so they have been so indoctrinated that they cannot see into the future. They cannot see all the way across the ocean and all the way into our solar system, because their mind state is very limited to their particular job, or their particular, even worse, is their assignment with the mafia, their corporate collaboration assignment with the mafia. They can't see past that. And then there are big players like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Jeff Bezos, and also Mark Zuckerberg, who only seem to, that's what it comes across. That's what it looks like. They only seem to care about their personal profit maximization. And that goes so far with some people, such as Jeff Bezos, that all their lawyers are doing, and they themselves, of course, they have to be spending an awful lot of time on that, on filing lawsuits against Elon Musk that are fraudulent lawsuits, that are totally unfounded, that are not based on anything, on any kind of substance against Elon Musk. They don't have any kind of claim against Elon Musk, but they make things up so that they will sue him. It always turns out to be extra costly and time-consuming for every single person, including Elon Musk, who really doesn't have time for bullshit like this. But everyone spends a lot of their time, all the saboteurs spend a lot of their time in sabotaging someone else, particularly Elon Musk. Elon Musk is really on the receiving end, the number one receiver of sabotage from other people that comes against him, and hate and slander and you name it. Because he is like light years more advanced technologically than the other technological corporations. So they will just sue him in order to slow him down, in order to slow down his progress, in order to slow down his mission to Mars, and many other things, okay? Because the saboteurs like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and many other people that are also players behind the scenes, okay? Many, many, many that we don't even get to see. So people that are not even declaring how much money they have, okay? I'm sure there are already trillionaires, but they don't declare it. Like, for example, the Rothschild family. I mean, they will say, yeah, our combined wealth. No, I'm sure that there are individual people among them that already have trillions of dollars in their personal bank accounts. Okay, so, but they don't declare it. This is not public. Okay, this has never been reported on. I saw a very interesting documentary also about rich people in Germany, for example, who are behind the scenes players and that have a lot of string holding also in other countries. They have their dirty hands involved in the United States and Russia and other countries, also like corporate spies, corporate collaborators, and corporatists that they themselves are having a particular vested interest in certain developments, in certain political developments, and the list goes on. I mean, it's very sad and very disturbing to see that what is happening in the world because of greed. Okay? Greed, where they just put greed over anything else. They put greed over peace, over love, over safety. They put their greed over all of this and endanger the whole world. They are also behind that Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci himself has a highly invested interest into in the medical pharmaceutical field. Of course, he has. I'm sure that he either has his own pharma corporation or he has like really, really big shares and stocks and involvement in it. So that's pretty obvious. The stuff he has done, the tests on dogs, unbelievable. I don't even want to think about it. And then to release, and I'm sure he's behind it, that's why we need the Fauci files to come out to the surface. But I know that these people are blackmailers. I know that they have a tremendous amount of leverage, even on people that are good, that want to make the world a better place, like Elon Musk. They probably threatened him. There's no telling what they might have done. People that have threatened Al Gore. That's why he did not want to run for president again. Okay. He didn't say that because then that again, they would not. They would be doing something to him if he blew the whistle on that. But it was very obvious and clear to me. And so they're threatening Donald Trump. They're threatening every good person. Okay. Every kind and good person who has political leverage, they are threatening, and they will say, if you do this, then we will do that. If you do this, then we will get your daughter, or we will snatch someone, or we will get your wife, and we will hold her for ransom, and all kinds of things. There's no telling what they might do. So I'm very sure that Dr. Fauci is behind the release of the very lethal viruses that started in 2020. I'm sure he's behind that. And I'm sure that this was deliberately released in order to create chaos and in order to then set up this entire fake war, this fake division, a fake division that they are setting up using the divisibility that is already there in people's minds psychologically and in a lot of people's minds. So race division, nation division, all kinds of things, like the war in the Ukraine was set up, that had been lingering, that was like, it was not about very much. Okay, so the corporate agenda they use certain things that are there. They observe the world, they observe your fears, and then they work with those fears. They will escalate your fears. They observe your religiousness, then they will escalate that religiousness. They observe your race division, and then they will throw a bomb in it, a psychological bomb, and they will escalate your race divisions. You see, people are racist on all sides, and almost every human is racist to some extent, and most people are extremely racist. The vast majority of humans are extremely racist. Okay. And then there will be a debate on what do we consider racist. What is considered racist? To a very racist person, if the opposition, in quotation mark, which is not their opposition, we're all one unit, we are all one species, but the corporate agenda throws that in. And to someone who has been very, very, very brainwashed in that sense, the other person only has to call the police if the other person is violating them, is being violent. One person, an Asian lady, for example, on the street, calling the police because a black woman violently attacked her, beat her up, took her purse. I don't know, she managed to get the phone out and call the police, and everyone around her, the entire street, went against the victim and stood with the perpetrator out of racism, okay? And they accused her of being racist. So that's how far some people go in labeling something racist. Some victim who is calling the police to help them, that victim is called a racist because the victim is calling the police, because the attacker happened to be a black woman. Okay, so, bro, this is not going anywhere. Okay, so just wanted to make that very crystal clear. This development is not going anywhere. This is leading to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and I'm not even religious. I'm not even a Republican. I'm not even one of those evangelical conspiracy theorists. You know, I'm a complete realist. I'm a truther. I'm a love seeker, love giver. I'm a son of love. Okay, I love all living beings. I am not biased. Okay, I see what's going on, and it does not look good. It looks very dangerous. And I have dreams about this at night. I have terrible, horrible dreams of, I see people are getting into deep water, literally, where my dreams become metaphors of that's what is happening. That's what the corporate agenda is doing to the world. Okay. So, for example, I had this dream of this older lady and an older guy. They were walking across some kind of water bridge, like almost like a dolly type of ocean bridge, but it was not near the ocean. It was in a nuclear power plant. And it had this, I don't know how I come up with this because I don't even know how a nuclear power plant looks like on the inside. I've seen some videos on it, but only briefly. In my dreams, these things are always exaggerated and made way more ballooned. So there's this lady, and she chose that job because she figured it was easier, but she was really talked into it. And she even puts on sturdy shoes, like hiking boots, and then she walks across there with her hand purse in her hand, and walks across this grid bridge, and right and left is plutonium loaded water, cooling water from the nuclear power station. And she walks across this, and the guy walking behind her, and they're trying to get to their job at the other end into an office, but they have to cross this horrific, dangerous water bridge. And suddenly I don't know, something goes wrong, and something goes out of control. The water starts to rise. The water keeps rising. It was like, it wasn't very low below that bridge to begin with, so the water was like maybe 3 feet below that bridge. And as they were walking across the bridge, the water was rising, and the water was becoming level with that dolo, with that water bridge. And there was already some algae growing on it, which means the water had already flooded several times. So suddenly the water gets up to an inch on top of that water bridge and goes up on her shoes, and she's looking down and worried. She's standing still, looking down on her shoes, not knowing what to do, whether to turn back or keep going. She decides to keep going, but then the water keeps rising, plutonium water, and the water is now getting over her shoe and rising up to her ankle. And before they know it, the water is getting pretty high, so high that they can't even walk anymore. They have to swim if they want to get to either side. So at some point, there's nothing they can do anymore. The water gets up to their necks, and they have to swim back. And they're soaked in water with plutonium and all of this. And then the dream shifted to something else. The dream shifted to my husband, who reads the news all the time. And there was this store, some kind of electronics store, but it was really a propaganda store. That was all that is about. It was all about propaganda, propagandizing people that would go in there. And I told Paul, as I have already in reality, I said, I can clear your computer, we can clean this all up because he has problems with it. And I think his computer is just full of junk because he doesn't have ad blocker, and without ad blocker, a Chromebook particularly, I don't know about the other computers, but it will flood very, very quickly with propaganda and commercials and so on. Commercials over commercials and propaganda over propaganda, and many commercials are propaganda, and a lot of propaganda is wrapped in the face of commercials, and you don't even know it's wrapped in the face of news, that are presented to you as truth, as reality, and it's not. It's twisted. And in this dream, it was just exaggerated, and I kept saying to him, I can fix your computer, we can put it back to factory setting, we can do a power wash, and don't go into that propaganda store. And he says, no, I have to go into that store, and he didn't call it propaganda store. They can fix my computer. And I said, don't let them do it, because they will put more brainwash material into your computer and gear your entire computer towards more of the propaganda, news articles, and so on. All of that is already networked in this direction in reality. So my dreams are they're just representing reality in a more exaggerated, in a more, maybe in a more rudimentary or boldly, naively simplistic way. Also with a lot of metaphors. And so he decides to go into the store against my recommendation, and I felt like I needed to get out of there, because I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. I already, in reality, I have asthma problems, and I wonder how much of that is already related to being an animal rights activist and hearing the false news coming from Paul, which always make me mad. So when we're at this house here, we don't have internet here, he can't read the news here, and it's like getting a break, so a very necessary break. But we have to go back today to the other house where I can upload my videos, these 2 videos here on the phone that are going to Nikki Loves Dogs, and my other videos on the Chromebook that are going to Nikki Daisy Dandelion. So, and I made 3 videos on the Chromebook for Nikki Daisy Dandelion, and I have 2 videos on this phone. So that I want to upload, and the last video I have from that I didn't upload yet, that I already made a couple of weeks ago. I made that of that beautiful light blue purplish rose, heirloom rose. And I didn't know whether I should upload it. I didn't like the video very much, but the rose is so beautiful, so I want to upload it, definitely. So yeah, I don't know how the dream fizzled out. Then I left there, and I had to walk uphill, and it's all very symbolic, so it's an uphill struggle. Me, the messenger, just the informant to the world. Don't keep doing what you're doing. Don't get a job that gets you into deep water, in a metaphorical way, maybe in an actual way, that gets you into deep plutonium water, Is that what you are signing up for? So think about what job you are signing up for. Are you going to be working for the corporate agenda? If you work for a nuclear power station, you are working for the for the corporate agenda, okay? Because anything that is highly toxic and dangerous is the corporate agenda, okay? And then there are some robotics and computer corporations that may have started out meaning well, then the first owner gets kicked out, the infiltrator takes the seat. This is happening a lot, okay? So In the case of Jeff Bezos, he is the infiltrator himself. So, but with a lot of other people, I would say with the Apple Corporation, that is the case. With Google, it is the case that it started out good, meaning well, and then the wrong people got in, took over, and made it corporate. That even happened to Greenpeace, and it happened to Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. And Paul Watson said he didn't think that he'd ever actually get to live to see this development happening, but he did, sooner than he wanted. Okay, so, and all of that because he kept this democratic, because this is what a good person, like, for example, I mean, every good, kind person, every liberal, I'm not saying liberals are good, I'm just saying in the very past, they used to be better, okay? So, a good democratic, open source, looking over other people's shoulders, transparency, accountability, glasnost, perestroika, as Mikhail Gorbachev was constantly talking about. He was able, because of that, he was able to open up the Soviet Union and bring it back to their original countries. Okay, so because of perestroika and glasnost, glasnost means transparency, and perestroika means accountability. Okay, so when we were in high school, that's what our history teacher taught us, and we talked about the political situation with him, and that got all of us in a little bit more interested into politics. Not enough to really get involved. At that time, I was like punk. I was kind of no future. I was anti-natalist very much so. I was very liberal. I was brainwashed. I was very democratic in that sense of, but meaning well, all of that, of course. Always pro-justice, but if we don't have the background information, then we will fall into dangerous traps with our well-meaning, okay? If we don't know the whole picture of what democracy actually means and where the dangers are located with democracy. That's why, and I wrote a letter to Ray Kurzweil asking him what we can do about the situation, because democracy is failing. And that was already 10 years or so ago. And he wrote back and he gave me a quote from Benjamin Franklin, who said, "Democracy is the worst of all systems, except for all the other ones." So, with other words, democracy is still the best that we have. We don't have anything else, right? And I just accepted that. And then said, "Oh, he's so much smarter than me. That must be true, right?" Well, someone of that standing, he's also going to be very careful what he says publicly or to anyone that he corresponds with. And I love him very much. I sent him one of my artworks. He sent us a hand-signed book, one of his books on nutrition. Very nice. Okay. And I watched many of his interviews. I still watch his interviews. I think he's great. But he is very careful, and he has to. They all have to be very careful. All of them are under a lot of pressure. Okay, so I know Elon Musk is under a lot of pressure from extortion and blackmailing from the corporate agenda, from all the other infiltrators and players and vested interest people. And they're functioning like a collective, which has then a snowball effect, which has the power of the public, of the majority. Okay, so when the majority of humans are corrupt, then obviously they have leverage over what is being done politically or sociologically, or in the medical field or whatever. The pharma industry has already for a very long time, they have both feet and both hands in the business of the healthcare. I would almost put this in quotation marks, the healthcare industry, because they turned it around and made it into a profit industry, and they left the healthcare far behind. Okay, so healthcare is done through the treasures of Mother Earth, but they can't patent those things. They would like to patent all of that, if they possibly could. They already tried to patent a lot of stuff. Like in India, for example, where they have very, very high level corruption. It's very sad. Okay? Where someone like Monsanto can set foot really, really quickly. Okay? They got into a lot of trouble because someone sued them. Someone who has a whole nation, a whole army behind him, sued. Okay, and because of the sociological arena situation, that we have right now, that person, a black person, sued Monsanto, and I'm glad he did, because he deserved to get all of that money. He deserved to get millions of dollars for this, okay, for having been made sick. I don't want to say the word, so he got sick from working with pesticides. Okay. Big wake-up call for the whole world. If it would have been any other person with any other ethnicity, they would not have gotten through this. The lawyers would have defeated that person very quickly. But because it was a black man, black person, with an entire army of civil rights lawyers and so on behind him, then they were because of that, they were able to force Monsanto into their knees. And very quickly, as they're very, very callous and they're very informed with all of their lawyers, Monsanto, they quickly sold to a German corporation, Bayer. And that was, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And they secured their money and their bank accounts very quickly into Swiss private bank accounts and so on. You better believe it. They secured as much as they could right up front, so that then they would get away with this, without having to lose too much money. That's how it works. Okay, we have to get going. So I make more videos later. Take care. Bye-bye.